I'm Ben Taylor with Queen Elizabeth Academy, and we're here today with another English lesson. Today we have a lesson that's very informational, and it's packed with a lot of detail, but it's very, very important. Today's lesson is on counting money. So in this lesson, we will go over how to count money and the different ways of paying for items. You can pay by cash, credit card, debit card, check. And you have different types of credit and debit cards, such as Visa and MasterCard. So it's important that you know the right terminology and phrases when you're going to pay for something, and you know how to talk about different amounts of money. So how do we say $1 versus $1.50 versus $150? It can get very confusing because there's lots of numbers involved and different terms and different ways of saying things. But with a little bit of practice and a little bit of my help, hopefully, you'll get where you need to be with counting money. So let's go over some keywords first. So some keywords which we'll talk about are first, credit card. A credit card is a card that's issued by your bank that allows you to buy services on credit. So credit just means you buy something and you pay for it later. So you're given the amount of money and you pay it off later, right? So you'll have a credit card bill later. So you can pay for things without having to pay up front, but you will owe payment to the bank or the credit card company at a later time. It's technically like you're borrowing money, and it's one of the most common ways to pay for things today. Debit card. A debit card is a card that's issued by your bank, but it takes money directly out of your bank account whenever you make a purchase. So the money's already there, you're not borrowing it like with a credit card, but it's a very convenient card, so you don't have to carry the cash with you. A prepaid card. This is slightly different than a debit card. This is a card that has money loaded onto it in advance. So the money isn't in your bank account, the money is actually on the card, or it's associated with that card. So you could get a prepaid Visa card from a grocery store that has $100 on it. So the limit on that card is $100, and it can be reloaded at a later time. It's not necessarily linked to your banking account like your debit card. Checking account and savings account. So you'll want to know these words. They're important for if you need to open a bank account. There are two different types of accounts at a bank. A checking account is used for everyday transactions. So the exchange of money when you're buying something or maybe you're selling something. The money will go out of your checking account or into your checking account. A savings account is not to be used daily. The money stays in the account to earn interest over time. So interest is something you earn for having a certain amount of money in that account. And there's an equation involved, and different types of accounts have different interest rates. You're limited in what you can do with a savings account. It's not really for spending a lot of money. It's for saving money, so keeping money. Check. Check is another kind of payment method. It's a piece of paper or a document that allows a bank to transfer a specific amount of money from one account or one person to another account or another person. You usually have to write the person's name on the check so the bank knows who to transfer the money to. Checks nowadays are usually written for very large amounts of money. Most people don't pay for their groceries with a check, but you might pay for rent with a check. What is rent? Rent is the amount of money you pay to stay in your apartment or home if you don't own it. So you pay a landlord, the person who owns the house or owns the building that your apartment is in. So rent is often paid by check because it's a larger amount. And finally, cash. We've got cash, actual money in the form of coins, bills, notes. It's different than checks and cards. So in English, we have various names that we use for money, for cash, and here's just a few of them, or the most common ones, let's say. We've got a penny, or 1 cent. So 1 cent, that's 1 part of 100. So a penny is 1 cent. A nickel is 5 cents. Nickel, 5 cents. Dime, dime, this is 10 cents. And then we have quarter, quarter. A quarter is 25 cents. This is all based on 100, right? So a quarter means 1/4. So 1/4 of 100 is 25, therefore 25 cents. So you might be able to remember it that way. $1 has various names in different countries. 2 common ones are a loonie, this is Canadian, or a buck, which is also used in Canada and also used in the US. So a loonie or a buck. Buck is much more common. So this is $1. You can often use the word buck to replace dollar when you're talking about dollars in any amount. So $2, $2. $10, $10. $1 million, $1 million. $1,000 can be said in different ways as well. So to shorten, so sometimes you'll see the letter K used in the place of 1,000.